I've been making videos reviewing each club and their lists, and I wanted to get them all out in time for the draft, but time-wise it just wasn't going to be possible. So in today's video, I'm going to have a crack at predicting the first round of the 2024 AFL Draft. My name's Woody, this is Wooden Spoon Data, the 18th best AFL channel on YouTube. Let's get into it. Before we get to pick 1, I will include a pick swap that I think many have suggested at this point, with Richmond trading pick 6 and pick 18 to North Melbourne for pick 2. I did put out a video for Richmond's 2024 list analysis, so go back and watch that if you want to deep dive into some of Richmond's requirements statistically. But with this pick swap, I will be deviating from the selections I made in that video slightly. I discussed this with Dylan Alexander from Dylan Alexander Follows Draft for North's list analysis. So go back and watch that if you want to understand why I think this pick swap happens from both sides. With that, let's get to Richmond's first and second selections in the 2024 AFL Draft. As mentioned in their review, Richmond has a massive hole to fill in terms of midfielders and mid-forwards. With that, I'd have them selecting Sam Layla at pick 1. Averaging 23 disposals, 5.8 marks and 3 tackles with the Greater Western Victoria Rebels as a mid and 1.3 goals per game as a forward with Vic Country, this gives Richmond one of the most impactful medium forwards that can also pinch hit in the stoppages. At pick 2, I have Richmond selecting Jagger Smith. While I have seen the argument made that he isn't damaging enough with the ball, he does find it a heap. Speaking of, for Vic Metro this year, he averaged 29.3 disposals, 4.8 marks, 2 tackles and a shot at goal per match. My thoughts generally come down to this. Richmond only really looked competent going forward when they won the ball from hit-outs. With Prestia and Taranto only playing just over 60% of matches, I think they still need a stoppage extractor long term. If the Tigers pick Jagger, they will get one of the most consistent players racking up high contested numbers. With these two, Richmond can immediately start addressing their areas of concern with debatably the best 2 kids in the draft. I say debatably as the top end of the draft seems to be relatively evenly spread. Only time will really tell if that's because it's strong or weak. But I also say debatably as Carlton fans might think that I've already got this draft order wrong. Or maybe they're hoping I've got it right. Either way, I'm sure many of them would say Finn O'Sullivan or Sid Draper are better options. Whatever does happen, I think that Carlton fans will be a happy lot. But I also think Carlton will be the one to bump their pick back a spot to pick 4 and bid on Levi Ashcroft, which the Lions will obviously match. The younger brother of 20-year-old Norm Smith medalist Will Ashcroft, Levi has been touted by some as the best player in this year's draft. I'm looking at you, Andrew Bassett. That being said, he might be right. Averaging 25.5 disposals, 4 marks, 1 tackle and a goal for Vic Metro this year, Levi looks set to follow in his family's footsteps. But from there, I think Carlton will jump all over Finn O'Sullivan, getting him learning from his cousin Sam Walsh. With 22 disposals, 4 marks and tackles for the Chargers this season, many of those in the know have suggested Finn could be the best of this year's draft and offers an aspect of agility to Carlton's midfield, coming 8th in the National Combine with 8.136 seconds. From there, I think we also see another very happy fan base with the Adelaide Crows selecting local lad Sid Draper at pick 5. He was South Australia's under-16 captain in 2022 before going on to be the state under-18 MVP in 2023, averaging 24.8 disposals, 3.5 marks and 3.8 tackles and as an underager. His numbers weren't quite as impressive this year, but he did so with minor injuries to his shin, knee and hip flexor. At any rate, I think everybody is pretty happy here. Melbourne's pick 6 has to be the hardest of the draft to nail in my opinion. With Melbourne needing another key position forward and potentially a midfielder, the players that I think Melbourne would be targeting would be Armstrong, Langford, Smiley, Taru and potentially Reid. I think Armstrong might make it to Melbourne at pick 9 if they want him, so here I have Melbourne taking one of the dual lark medalists in Harvey Langford. At the under-18 National Championships, Langford averaged 25.5 disposals and over 6 marks, clearances and inside 50s. At 191 centimetres, he has the potential to rest as a third tall forward to help Van Rooyen and Petty when he's not helping out in the midfield. Moving on to North Melbourne, I think they'll also be pretty happy with the players available at their pick. Personally, I believe that North will only move back if they have strong confidence that they can get their man. And there are whispers everywhere that that man is Alexander Toru. Toru is a tall utility and poses to be this year's biggest draft bolter. People have likened his work to that of Sicily, Rampy, and as a Saints fan, I can see some battle comparisons too. Speaking of St Kilda, we get to their back-to-back picks at 8 and 9. I think St Kilda at this point are the ones to bid on the other Lark medalist, Leo Lombard. While only 178 centimeters, Lombard holds his own physically, averaging 26.3 disposals, 4.5 tackles, and 4.8 clearances in the national championships. The Suns' academy product is the son of former UFC fighter Hector Lombard, so it comes as little surprise that Leo is one of the more combative and driven draft prospects available this year. The Suns will be more than happy to match the bid here. After their bid on Lombard, I have St Kilda and Sauce looking to place another bid on Essendon academy product Isaac Kako. After getting Jade Gresham last offseason and letting go of project small forwards like Jaden Davey and Tex Wanganeen this offseason, the Bombers will be thankful to get someone of Kako's ilk that could immediately push for selection. Averaging 14.5 disposals, 3 marks and 2 goals for Vic Metro, Kako has been drawing parallels between him and the likes of Tom Papley, Girion Myers or the wizard Nick Watson. The Bombers will clearly match the bid and that pushes St Kilda back to picks 10 and 11. So, at pick 10, I think most St Kilda fans will be happy as I have them selecting 195cm midfielder Josh Smiley. Smiley's game is based around his stoppage nows. While his numbers at the championships were down overall, his clearance figures remain strong, averaging around 19 disposals and 6 clearances per match for Vic Metro. At pick 11, I have St Kilda doubling down on big midfielders and upsetting WA sides by selecting Beau Allen. Averaging 20 disposals, 6 tackles, 3 marks and 2.75 clearances, he has had comparisons to Jordan Dawson and other defensive mids. From his intercept marking to his running carries off half-back to his contested game when going into the guts, he looks to be a player that many teams would like and won't make it much further if St Kilda don't take him here. Moving on to Melbourne's pick 12, as I mentioned earlier, I have them selecting Harry Armstrong. Armstrong averaged 5 marks and 3 goals a game this year for Vic Metro and averaged 4.5 marks and 2.7 goals a game for Sandringham. He presents as the best key forward for this draft and could pair nicely long-term with Van Rooyen. Here we get to Richmond's next back-to-back picks. At 13, I have them selecting Toby Travalia. Travalia's 2-kilometre time trial time of 6 minutes and 13 seconds was second overall at the National Combine, and with his ability to break lines and find the goals, he presents as a possible Rioli replacement. At pick 14, I have them taking Jobe Shanahan. After relying on less than ideal options this past year, this presents as a much need area for Richmond, and Shanahan is arguably as good as Armstrong, if not better. He managed 22 goals from 11 games with the Bendigo Pioneers. He also managed 3 games at VFL level for 11 goals. He's been compared to Kyle Langford and Bailey Fritsch, and Richmond could definitely use a player like that. At pick 15, we get to the West Coast Eagles, and joining Harley and Archer in what I can only describe as a commentator's nightmare, I have them selecting Murphy Reid. Playing for Sandringham and Vic Metro, Reid's sound fundamentals and footy IQ have him consistently near the drop of the ball, finding the next avenue to goal. With over 24 disposals, 3 marks, 2 tackles and a goal across all forms this year, Murphy and Harley will have opposition absolutely chasing tail. For Port's pick 16, I have them selecting Cooper Hines. At 190 centimeters and with an average of 23.7 disposals and 1.5 goals for the Dandenong Stingray, Cooper will be another big body in the midfield to help Rosie, Butters and Horne-Francis going forward. After picking up Shai Bolton this offseason, Fremantle at pick 17 will be looking to double down on their small forward stocks, and in my opinion, they'll like the option of Joe Berry. Berry poses as one of the best small forwards in this draft, averaging 14.4 disposals and 1.9 goals for the Murray Bush Rangers. For Vic Country this year, he averaged 13.3 disposals and 2.3 goals. This is where I think it gets harder to pick where players might end up. At pick 18 and 19, I have the Giants selecting Taj Houghton and Xavier Lindsay. Taj started the year as a top 5 pick before doing his ACL early in the season. Houghton is known for his strong efforts aerially despite his 182cm stature and will work well with the Mosquito fleet that the Giants are building. Lindsay projects as an aggressive halfback flanker or wingman with a good left boot on him. I have him falling due to a PCL injury later in the season, but the Giants will be very happy if they can get the most out of these 2 selections. At pick 20, I can see Bulldogs fans sweating on this decision. I think there's a few ways this could go, with Dodson, Hannaford, Trainer and Detoli all players they might consider. Based on the outside noise, I think they pick Hannaford here. The small defender turned small forward has rocketed up the draft boards late with 5 and 6 goal hauls for the Greater Western Victorian Rebels at the end of the season, and was the top ball winner in their tough grand final loss with 24 disposals and 1 goal. Doggies fans will be happy thinking of the 1-2 punch that he could provide with Waitman going forward. So for North's second pick at 21, I have them picking up slider Luke Trainer. Luke Trainer was being talked about as a top 10 pick only 2 months ago, but it seems as though concerns about his concussion history and potentially other aspects of his game has seen him fall to here. For Sydney's first pick, I have them being the ones to place a bid on Brisbane Lions Academy product and Sandringham Z-Rep player Sam Marshall. Known as a reliable accumulator, one of Marshall's most memorable moments was a 16 disposal final quarter against South Australia at the National Champions this year, finishing the day with 30 as well. The Lions will be happy to match a bid for him here. Actually getting to Sydney's first selection, I have them taking a bit of a left field selection in Jack Whitlock. After a lackluster performance from their Tools in the grand final, the 200cm ruck forward poses as an interesting selection for the Swans. Averaging 16.4 disposals, 4.8 marks, 1.5 tackles, 3.2 hitouts, and 2.1 goals, he might be a player to replace Grundy long term. For Richmond's second last pick, yes, I have them taking 6 players. At pick 24, I have Richmond picking up the hard-nosed small forward Jesse Tatoli. Tatoli played for the Northern Knights, averaging 23 disposals, over 3 marks and tackles, and a goal per game. Jesse has even shown an ability to get up the ground at times playing on the wing for Vic Metro. With so many integral players leaving the mid-forward role this offseason, Tatoli could find himself in Richmond's best 22 early if he works hard. With GWS back on the board at 25, I think at this selection they're happy to take a slightly early punt on a player with high upside. So at this pick, I have them selecting Christian Moraes. Moraes played for Vic Metro this year, and due to the raft of high-level midfielders available in that team, he was often squeezed out to half-back, wing, or half-forward, with much less time than he'd prefer on ball. Averaging 20.8 disposals, 5.8 marks, and 2.8 tackles, he adapted quite well to each role, and with the ability to run a 6.25 2-kilometre time trial, he proved he has strong running ability and the ability to use it where the team requires. Getting back to Sydney for pick 26, here I have them selecting the other Whitlock twin, Matt. Matt Whitlock's ceiling is arguably as high as any key position prospect in this draft pool. His versatility is his major strength, having performed at high standards at both ends of the ground. He is arguably more at home in defence, but he did kick 27 goals for the Murray Bushrangers this season, including 2 bags of 5. With Sydney's young midfield and tall pillars like the Whitlock twins on either end of the ground, they pose as a scary opponent in years to come. As a side note, if Sydney does take the Whitlock twins and Carlton gets the Camberwell twins, I think that will be the first time that 2 sets of twins get drafted to 2 clubs. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. Someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. So for the final pick of round 1 and my 2024 mock draft, I have Richmond using their last pick on the best ruckman available, Alex Dodson. While I have spoken to some Richmond fans that have suggested that they don't want to take a ruck, I think this is a situation of best available player at the pick while also sort of meeting long-term needs. While Nank is a gun, go back and watch the Richmond list review if you want to know how good he is. He is also getting older, and the only experienced ruckman behind him is now Samson Ryan. So I think this is a player that you set in the VFL for a few years and have him come in as the second ruck to Ryan when Nank retires. So that's my guess for the first round of the 2024 AFL draft. In terms of clubs that won't have a first round pick, which seems to just be Collingwood, Geelong and Hawthorn, I would assume that most of these teams have their eyes on mature ages and just generally more left field options. So it is kind of hard to speculate who they might pick. Anyway, thank you for watching our draft prediction video. My name's Woody and this is Wooden Spoon Data, the 18th best AFL channel on YouTube. If you like this video and you want to see some more AFL data focused content, be sure to click the subscribe button to keep up to date. Click the like button so YouTube knows to keep suggesting it to yourself and other people. Thanks for watching.